Have you ever paused to notice how familiar streets and quiet neighborhoods are slowly transforming without loud headlines, but through new lights, unfamiliar flavors, and shifts in daily life? From California to Florida, Ohio to New Jersey, America is quietly reshaping itself, not through conflict, but through subtle, powerful changes within local communities. Welcome to Romekind, where social transformations are explored through a lens of neutrality, empathy, and real stories. This video is intended to raise public awareness. It does not aim to conclude, accuse, or place blame on any individual or organization. All information is compiled from public sources and presented from a neutral, human-centered perspective. Number 1. California. In just over 10 years, California has become more than just a symbol of American tech innovation. It has emerged as a stage for a vibrant Indian transformation. The Silicon Valley, once defined by software codes and venture capital, now echoes with the rhythms of Bollywood, holy colors, and the aroma of South Indian vegetarian food. Neighborhoods like Sunnyvale, Fremont, and Cupertino have become home to thousands of Indian families. A notable example is a Gujarati family who arrived with little more than hope. Starting from a modest rental apartment, they now run a successful AI startup, with their 3 children attending top-ranked schools. The father, now fluent in English more than his native tongue, shared, "I didn't just find a job here, I rewrote my future." At the same time, Santa Clara and Artesia have witnessed a boom in Little India markets, Ayurvedic restaurants, and meditation centers hidden among office complexes. Educationally, there's a rise in SAT training hubs, STEM academies, and coding classes for kids as young as 6. Innovative platforms like Khan Academy, Brilliant, and Tinker are thriving not just for Indian kids, but for the broader Asian American community. These changes reflect more than demographics. They are redefining what the American dream looks like in the 21st century. However, this rapid transformation comes with its own set of challenges. In Santa Clara County, the average home price has soared to over $1,700,000, prompting many families to rethink budgets, mortgages, and educational plans. Longtime residents express mixed emotions. As one parent put it, "Schools are more competitive than ever. New kids are not just smart, they're intensely driven. It's inspiring, but also overwhelming." California is no longer a monoculture. It's a shared space where dreams, spices, surnames, and software collide. And as everything from street signs to lunch menus change, one wonders, how do we still recognize home in a place that's constantly reinventing itself? Number 2. New Jersey. Walk down Oak Tree Road in Edison, New Jersey, and it might feel like you've left the United States for a moment. The streets gleam with Diwali lights, shops sell saris instead of soda, and the air carries the scent of spices and incense. Over 30% of the city's population is now of Indian descent. Culture is not just present, it's rooted. Each festival here feels like a statement. Fireworks, traditional music, and neighbors handing out sweets. It's warm, vivid, unforgettable. But what happens when change comes faster than understanding? A longtime resident recalled, "I thought Diwali was a dish. I had to Google it when my neighbors lit up the whole block." The remark wasn't hostile, just surprised. Meanwhile, housing prices are climbing. Rent has increased more than 25% over the past 5 years, especially near high-performing schools and STEM prep centers like Brilliant and Code.org. Families often browse Zillow and niche.com, seeking homes close to education hubs. There's a quiet shift in services too. Ayurvedic clinics, South Indian vegan spots, and SAT coaching centers are popping up across Edison. Uber Eats now delivers organic curries, and local libraries host Hindi storytelling sessions on weekends. Yet, not everyone feels at home. As new symbols rise, some old traditions fade. Questions grow louder in silence. Are all communities adapting at the same pace, or are some feeling culturally disoriented in the process? In some schools, PTA meetings now feature potlucks, blending pasta, and pakoras. Could these everyday moments be the bridges we need? More importantly, how does this relate to broader questions of affordability and long-term neighborhood stability? If housing becomes too expensive, who gets pushed out? If community resources shift, who gets left out? At the community center, volunteers from both new immigrant groups and longtime Italian-American families co-host Diwali and Christmas storytelling nights for kids, a quiet but hopeful sign that shared traditions may help build shared belonging. New Jersey glows with celebration, but also flickers with complexity, and that's worth a deeper look. Number 3, Texas. Once known for cowboys and slow sunsets, Texas now whispers a different rhythm. In cities like Dallas, Frisco, and Irving, the scent of masala tea blends with fast-growing tech startups and coding boot camps for kids. This isn't a storm, it's a steady rise, but one that leaves deep footprints. TT Day, over 235,000 Indian immigrants call the Dallas-Fort Worth region home, making up approximately 3% of the metro area's population. In Frisco, Asian Americans now make up more than a quarter of the population, and among them, South Asians account for roughly 14%. That's not just a demographic stat, it's a cultural shift. Walk into any suburban strip mall and you'll find organic Indian grocers, SAT prep centers, and apps like Boundless helping newcomers navigate life in a new country. One 33-year-old engineer from Plano put it simply, "I arrived with a laptop. Now I have a house, 2 kids, and a second family in this community." But not everyone feels the same rhythm. In Dallas, the median home price hovers near $470,000. While tech salaries are high, the average household income still trails behind by $30,000. This raises a pressing question: who gets to buy and who gets left behind? As demand rises, renters face limited options and longtime residents feel squeezed. The conversation shifts from community culture to class anxiety. Is Texas experiencing early signs of economic pressure that could limit who gets to fully participate in this new growth? With more families pouring into neighborhoods, schools evolve. STEM clubs, robotics programs, and early coding classes are now the norm. That's great for progress, but what about inclusion? One American parent said, "My kid is smart, but the classroom feels like a race. I'm proud and honestly, a bit lost." Another initiative pairs local veterans with immigrant teens for digital literacy, mentoring, proving that cultural gaps can become opportunities for connection. So, we ask, can communities grow without losing their soul? One community library launched a mentorship program pairing longtime residents with new immigrant parents, a quiet but powerful step toward inclusion. And when poverty becomes silent, who will listen? Texas is changing, but who's keeping up and who's quietly falling behind? If you've ever felt like your neighborhood has started speaking a new language, share in the comments describing what Texas means to you right now. And don't leave just yet. What's happening in Washington might surprise you even more. Number 4, Washington. Washington doesn't shout, change it, murmurs it. In cities like Redmond and Bellevue, transformation doesn't come with parades or protests. It arrives through morning yoga, with classical Indian music, Diwali lanterns on suburban porches, and the smell of curry drifting out of family kitchens. In Redmond, approximately 39% of residents are Asian American, while in nearby Bellevue, the figure rises to around 41%. Although specific numbers for Indian origin residents are not broken out, the community's presence is visibly growing. The shift is subtle but strong. Not everyone notices right away, but everyone eventually feels it. A family from Pune moved here a decade ago. The father works in IT at Amazon. His son thrives in local STEM clubs, but the grandmother, nearing 70, struggles. I can't speak English. I don't know where to go on weekends. But my grandson, he calls this place perfect. That's the duality, inclusion and isolation together. Housing prices tell another story. In Redmond, the average home value has surged to over $1,400,000, rising more than 5% in the past year. Demand is fueled by high-paying tech jobs, but what does that mean for others? If home ownership slips out of reach, who gets left in the margins? And is a quiet rise in cost more dangerous than an obvious fall? Could poverty be creeping in, hidden behind polished neighborhoods and thriving schools? To help bridge gaps, services emerge. Duolingo classes for seniors, Indian grocery delivery, rideshare platforms tailored for immigrant communities. These aren't just conveniences, they're lifelines. One elderly American-German man shared, "At first, I thought my neighbors kept to themselves. Then my granddaughter played with their kids. Now, we water our gardens together." It's a lovely picture, but also fragile. Washington exemplifies how multicultural harmony can grow silently. But that silence can also mask gaps. Are we truly building connection or simply living parallel lives? And when affordability concerns creep in quietly, do we still pay attention before it's too late? Number 5. North Carolina. Tucked within the Research Triangle, Cary once embodied the Southern ideal: quiet neighborhoods, steady schools, and trimmed lawns. But over the past 10 years, the town has changed, not in a rush, but in rhythm. Today, over 20% of Cary's population is Asian American, with South Asians making up a growing share. In some zip codes like 27519, Asian residents account for more than 37%. That's not subtle, it's structural. And it shows. Grocery stores carry spices from Hyderabad. Weekend classes teach math and Sanskrit, and children practice coding while others are still napping. Subtle signs of cultural shift or a deep societal evolution. The median home price now exceeds $640,000, up nearly 5% year over year. Household income averages over $113,000, far above county norms. Progress? Yes. But for everyone? As housing costs rise, is poverty slipping through the cracks? Cary's growth invites talent, but also raises the bar, quietly excluding those who can't keep up. Is this where affordability quietly begins to filter who gets to belong, not with barriers, but with quiet exclusions? In response, the town adapts. Libraries host Hindi language classes for seniors, not for tourism, but to greet neighbors. Schools shift focus from football to robotics. And diverse families now share the same PTA meetings, potlucks, and hopes. Still, not all feel at ease. One elderly resident noted, "It's beautiful, but I don't recognize the place. My grandkids love it, but I feel like I'm visiting." This isn't about resistance. It's about pace. But some residents are trying. A robotics teacher noted, "Our after-school club is half Asian, half black, but when they build together, they don't think about that." Are we blending cultures or just placing them side by side? And when progress comes wrapped in silence, who speaks for those left behind? Number 6. New York. In New York's outer boroughs, transformation isn't in skyscrapers, it's in doorway festivals, spoken Punjabi on the subway, and vegan samosa stands next to bagel shops. From Queens to Staten Island, thousands of immigrants from India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan have made their mark so subtly they blend in, yet so deeply they reshape everyday life. Take the Khan family from Lahore, Pakistan. They moved in 2019, drawn by lower rents compared to Manhattan. Dad drives a delivery van, mum works in healthcare. Their teenage son attends school where 28% of classmates speak English as a second language. They say, "We found community in diversity." Local block parties now feature Bhangra music alongside mariachi. Public libraries offer Hindi reading circles and immigration support, not charity, but targeted outreach to help neighbors feel at home. Community health centers quietly add culturally informed care, like providing English language nutrition guides based on CDC recommendations, not making health claims, just offering help. Yet change comes with complexity. According to non-profit housing groups, rents in some Queens zip codes rose 30 to 35% over the past 4 years. When rent climbs and local incomes stay flat, supply gaps emerge. Experts warn that displacement could happen not through eviction notices, but by quietly outpricing. Does this hint at future displacement? Maybe not now, but as growth outpaces wages, the warning signs begin to appear. But advocates argue that housing stability doesn't always follow growth. Instead, stability requires intentional policies, including rent regulations and tenant support. The conversation is building but slowly. If New York's outer boroughs shape a new Americana built on patchwork culture, then the real test is whether everyone can belong. Will diversity uplift or just blend in shadows? Number 7. Illinois. Picture this. Schaumburg, Illinois was once the epitome of Midwestern calm tree-lined streets, weekend barbecues, and kids playing capture the flag. But lately, even the familiar strip mall near the metro station feels different. Walk in, and you might see a sleek storefront boasting Indian vegetarian cuisine next to an old-school bakery. Or spy a group of teenagers huddled over laptops in a cozy corner, taking a weekend Python coding workshop. They're not there for cartoons or arcade games. Take the Kennedy family. They moved here from Eastern Europe 5 years ago. Their daughter, Eleanor, joined a robotics club at the local library. Every Saturday morning, she's at a table with kids writing lines of code. Her mum laughs as she recalls, "We came here hoping for quiet. Instead, our first weekend, we found ourselves asking, 'What's an algorithm?'" That moment encapsulates how things have shifted. Schools once focused on soccer and drama now feature after-school SAT prep and logic math seminars. Grocery stores still stock familiar staples, but they're now part of a broader menu that includes paneer tikka and dosa mix. Home prices have climbed about 40% over the last 8 years in a neighborhood that once felt so permanent. Young families who grew up here are finding themselves priced out. One parent admitted, "We sold our starter home to afford space for our twins, only to realize they want friends who code by first grade." Yes, Indiana Avenue still hosts block parties, and yes, those BBQs still smell like summer. But Saturdays aren't just hot dogs anymore, they're hot software languages, hot tea, hot connections. And that's the story of many Illinois suburbs. They're holding on to tradition, but stepping boldly into a new chapter built on code, curry, and community. Illinois is reminding us. The future tastes like paneer, sounds like Python, and builds community. Comment, "Paneer Python progress," to show you're in the mix. And don't blink, you don't want to miss Florida's next transformation. Number 8. Pennsylvania. Imagine Pittsburgh, once the heart of steel, echoing with hammer and furnace, now framed by family-owned Indian restaurants, renovated warehouses, and local robotics labs. According to recent reports from regional planning councils, new South Asian-owned small businesses open at a steady pace, not a flood, but a meaningful shift. For example, take the Ahsan family. Originally from Bangladesh, they moved here after the COVID-19 pandemic. They converted a former factory into a co-working space and cafe serving mango, lassi, and biryani. The mother, a former nurse, now teaches a weekend health workshop based on facts from WHO and CDC, focused on healthy eating and community wellness, not claiming these dishes cure diseases. Home prices in suburbs like Allentown, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh's North Shore remain below national average, but they're gradually rising around 20 to 30% over the last 5 to 8 years, according to Housing Authority reports. Families moving in note, good schools and affordable homes until they don't. One longtime resident shares, "We've seen mills turn into museums. Now a library hosts a Sanskrit reading circle. It's nostalgic, but different." Local clinics now offer translation services in Hindi and Urdu to assist recent immigrants. They're meeting the linguistic gap, not glossing over real barriers like food, deserts, or lack of health insurance. It's a careful step forward, yet questions remain. When nostalgia meets necessity, what gives? Is a quiet rise in rent causing displacement? Could rising costs unintentionally push out families who have called these towns home for generations? This is not judgment, but social observation. Pennsylvania's older regions are learning new dances between preserving history and dancing toward the future. Number 9. Florida. Following Pennsylvania's cautious revival, Florida offers a vivid contrast, a place often associated with retirees now becoming a low-cost launchpad for ambitious families. In Tampa, Orlando, and Miami suburbs, young professionals from India and beyond are arriving not to relax, but to build. According to recent estimates, thousands of family-run businesses have opened since 2020, focusing on healthcare clinics, tech services, and even small-scale SaaS programming studios. Many relocated from high-cost states like New Jersey to enjoy affordable housing and a startup-friendly environment. Consider the Patel family. They moved from New Jersey seeking balance. Now the father codes remotely for a fintech firm, while the mother runs a small dental clinic in Orlando. Their son attends a school where about 22% of students are Asian, including many from Indian and Sri Lankan backgrounds. The family says, "We came for the sun, but stayed for the community." Yet, daytime calm is paired with noticeable change. New homes, software boot camps, flavored tea stalls, and a growing number of holistic wellness centers dot the suburbs. According to real estate reports, home values have risen by around 15 to 20% since 2020, narrowing Florida's cost advantage. It raises questions. If cost of living rises quietly, are older residents being priced out? Are we creating poverty zones even in sunny locales? What happens when modest incomes can't compete with remote tech salaries? Local health services have adapted. Mobile clinics offer flu shots and wellness checks. Community centers run free nutrition sessions based on CDC guidelines, not to point fingers, but to support condition-specific needs. "We're not blaming diets," notes one coordinator. "We're helping where we can." Florida's suburbs are no exception to America's theme. Tradition meets transformation. They remind us that growth and inclusion don't always align, especially when change is wrapped in sunshine. Number 10. Ohio. Steadily arriving behind the scenes of more talked-about states, Ohio, specifically Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati, now plays a key role in the reshaping of American suburbia. Once hubs for manufacturing, these cities are drawing young, ambitious families from Indian American, Pakistani American, and Bangladeshi American communities who seek affordability and opportunity. Take the Sharma family, whose story echoes many others. They moved from the high-cost East Coast after COVID-19. With limited savings, they found a 3-bedroom home under $250,000 in Columbus. Dad works remotely in software. Mum tutors SAT online. Their daughter now attends coding clubs in the local library and plays cricket with other kids in the park. We wanted a fresh start without the burden of debt, they say. But Ohio's soft landing isn't without friction. A housing affordability report indicates home values have risen 25 to 30% over the last 3 years. That surge means lower-income families, often local residents, face pressure to move. It raises a question. Is this a new form of displacement, masked by Midwestern kindness? Enter Dr. Elena Ruiz, an urban sociologist at Ohio State University. She notes, "We're seeing small towns shifting, yes, economically and culturally. Influx can bring growth, but also reshape social networks. The risk? If wages don't rise with housing, you're effectively substituting residents, not enriching communities. As landlord demand grows, so does landlord power, and rents follow. Some tenants are squeezed out, creating pockets of unstable housing. Could this quiet shift strain affordability to a point where low-income families are quietly displaced, not by eviction, but by pricing out? Experts caution, not yet critical, but worth tracking." In Columbus, a public library recently hosted a career fair where Somali American employers and Indian American tech founders teamed up with local high schools to offer job shadowing, showing that community building doesn't require a single culture, just shared purpose. In response, community centers now host multilingual health screenings, and public libraries offer financial literacy and housing workshops. This isn't charity gloss, it's early, directed support to prevent real hardship. Ohio's transformation blends risk and reason. It's neither a success story nor a warning in isolation, but a live experiment in balance. Can affordability and inclusion coexist? Will newcomers help lift all boats or leave others stranded? Only time and collective action will tell. Each city, each street, tells a different chapter in the story of America. You may feel a sense of familiarity or perhaps disconnection, but it's in these differences that communities grow stronger. If you've witnessed change in your neighborhood or feel something shifting, share your story with us here at Roamkind. Your perspective might be the bridge between misunderstanding and empathy, between assumption and understanding. At Roamkind, we believe awareness is the first step toward connection, and we're here to walk that path with you.